Quilixios, Fethard, you're very welcome to this special virtual Civic event live from Tipperary County Council's chamber here in Clonmel. Wherever in the world you're joining us from, you're very, very welcome for this special event to celebrate an incredible year, and we're still only halfway through it, of Killinall's finest, Tipperary's Rachel Blackmore. You're very welcome, Rachel.
Thanks a million for having me. It's an honour to be invited in here. Thanks for having me.
We've seen you on TV, we've seen you in the newspapers, we've seen you on social media. You've been busy over the last few months. You're back home in Tipperary. How are you now, as they say around here?
Oh, taking it all in now, taking a breath. We've had 3 weeks off there from jumps racing, so it's been nice to kind of catch up with people and, take things in, try to anyway at least. And so it's been a nice few days off.
Well, we'll be sharing perspectives with you tonight from friends and family over the last few weeks. We hope you'll enjoy the evening. But we're going to introduce you to Cathaoirleach, Tipperary, Michael Smith, to formally declare the evening underway. Micheál, over to you.
Good evening. Rachel, you're very welcome. Tipperary County Council is bestowing this civic reception on you this evening. It's the highest honour that we as elected members on behalf of the citizens of Tipperary can bestow on any individual. And following your historical, heroic achievement in becoming the leading jockey in the Cheltenham Festival, in the champion hurdle victory on the beautiful mare Honeysuckle, and then to go on and win the Grand National, it's what dreams are made of, and you made those dreams come true. And I suppose when we all look at Cheltenham in particular and the Grand National, it's on our television and we're there cheering it on, and I can only imagine we would have lifted the roof off Cheltenham to follow you into the winner's enclosure. So tonight we celebrate you, we celebrate your achievement, and for your family, who I know have to be immensely proud of what you have done. So you're very, very welcome here this evening.
Great joy in a difficult year. Michael, obviously the country and the world has been dealing with COVID, but Rachel has given us some great moments.
Absolutely, and I suppose sport has that lovely way of lifting us all up, and when we see Rachel's victories, it just shows to the young girls and young boys that she is that role model, she is that inspirational figure, and it lifts horse racing into new levels. And when you have that determination, and it's the one thing that you hear always spoken about Rachel, is her work ethic, and a lot of talent, I may add as well, because I do note that Rachel would say that she's lucky, I suppose, to be in such a great stable yard and great trainers. But I think you have to be talented, and I think Rachel is exceptionally talented, and we are proud that she's from the Premier County, and I know in Killinall they're very, very proud of her.
Well, hopefully you'll leave here tonight, Rachel, with that
feeling. I'm going to leave here with a massive head anyway.
Tonight, Rachel, is about you. The coronavirus we've mentioned there and your achievements against that backdrop. Did that have a big impact on you and your work and your job this year?
Yeah, look, we were very lucky in the racing industry that we got going, quick enough after the first lockdown. We were an outdoor sport. We were able to do it via social distancing. Jennifer Pugh, our chief medical officer, did such massive work to get racing back going. So we were very lucky as an industry that we got to work and got to, I suppose essentially we were providing a bit of an outlet for people. There was no other sport on, and people were able to kind of get clued into racing. So it was great for us to be able to do that, and we had no crowds there and whatnot, but we were just delighted to be going racing and being able to continue on, I suppose.
Well, I don't know if your ears were burning, but we've been speaking to some of your neighbours and members of your family in recent weeks in preparation for this event, and some of those who were involved in, I suppose, the beginning of your journey. Can you remember back to your earliest memories with a horse or a pony, or your first introduction to the beautiful animal?
Yeah, look, I suppose I always... I was very privileged in that I never had to ask for a pony. There was just a pony there. Grew up on a farm surrounded by animals, and loved being outside and doing all that. And my brother would have got a pony before me. He was older. So
did you hate that?
No, I suppose I just I suppose I wanted to be like him. A younger sibling wants to copy the older one. Yeah. So I just grew up surrounded by them. So I was very, very lucky.
We've been speaking to some of those involved in the early days of your journey in and around Killinall.
We're in Martelstown, Killinall, next door to where Rachel basically was born and brought up. We're next door neighbours, cousins. Families-wise, we'd have known each other all our lives. I suppose I probably remember when Rachel was born. She was just Charles Niemer's little one over there. She started coming over and back here a little bit, I'd say when she was at 12 or 13, and she babysat for us for 3-4 years. And then while she was doing that, she started riding out the race horses a bit. I'd produced her the young horses to sell, bring them on. She started doing that when she was in school. She was in Loretto and Clonmel. You get loads of people who look to ride out, and they start and they come, and some are good and some are bad. Rachel, as soon as she started riding the race horses, she just had a natural ability to ride a horse. I mean, you can learn, I'm not saying how to become a jockey, you can learn race riding, you can learn a lot of things, but she had a natural ability that you just can't teach. You don't get that, you're just born with that. She was always a very good rider, even as ponies and horses coming up along. But as she got a little bit older, she obviously liked the speed, liked the jumping. I'd say, my own opinion was that she was very good to get a horse to jump, and she loved jumping at speed, and that's where it developed there. She just loved speed and jumping. But she was very good to get a horse jumping. I mean, that's where her real ability is, I think.
My initial connection with Rachel was she had a pony club pony, aged about 12, and Charles and Emma were taking the family off for a summer holiday. But she wanted the pony kept going, so I kept him going for her during the summer. I taught in pony club camp and did pony club rallies, so I was an instructor. So I'd have met her through rallies initially. She was training for the Bobby Bailey, which is sort of 12 to 14-year-olds. So that's probably the first stage I met her. Flint, this is the little Connemara pony, who was a very talented pony, but he needed a jockey who wanted to do it more than he did. And Rachel was that. Rachel she's always been hungry. She wanted to win, and she get the best out of any pony. And then more ponies, pony club, eventing, Connemara ponies, and then she got into the racing.
With Rachel as a rider, I remember giving her first ride in a point in Castletowngeig in Westmeath. There was a horse called Arbor Hill, which was named after a local hill, not the prison in Dublin, 2007, and she finished third. That was her first official ride on the point, and that was for me, yeah. And she rode quite a few times then for the next 18 months, 2 years in points for me. A lot of pretty moderate horses, but she got them around and did well on them.
But Rachel is also first and foremost a horsewoman rather than a jockey. She got used to getting the best out of ponies coming up. She's a natural into horses. They understand her rather than somebody who's just been trained as a jockey and ridden, race horses. She's just a very talented horsewoman all round.
She always showed loads of ability and a toughness and a hardness which you need to become a jockey. And I suppose I was probably quite surprised that when she got started, that she didn't really get going quicker, because she had that ability there. Somebody said to me once, what did you teach her most? And I said, I taught her how to ride a bad horse well, because the good ones are easy. It's the moderate ones and the moderate jumpers are the hard ones, and she got to learn how to do that, and not learn how to, she just had a way of doing it. So she learned by doing so many different types of horses, different tracks, different things, on, as I say, moderate horses. So when it came to riding the good horses, it was probably easy. But she never had any fear. But you can, you have jockeys that have no fear, but they might have no brains as well. She had both going with it.
Your head is going to be really big at the end of the night, Rachel, because
Look for a reaction straight away.
Listening to Aidan, I've spoken to him during the week, obviously, it would appear not many would be able to handle the horses he would throw at them, or that he was throwing at you, maybe.
No, look, to be honest, from day one, Aidan just treated me as any normal jockey who's trying to get going, and that's what you have to do when you're getting going. You don't get put on a better grade of horse until you can kind of prove you're good enough to ride them, I suppose. I got so much invaluable experience riding for him. He gave me loads and loads of rides, and I really think that stood to me. As I progressed and started riding winners, I had a lot of rides pointing behind me, and especially when I turned professional, I was a 7-pound claimer, but I had a lot of point rides under my belt, which was a big help, and it was great to get that start.
I mean, going back to 12, being competitive in the pony class, I mean, were you competitive even at that stage, or do you remember, some of those races?
I think I was always kind of, competitive. Like if we were in school and we were, playing soccer or something, we'd want to make sure somebody was keeping score kind of thing. But I think, you probably need to be like that if you're going to, if you want to go down the road of being a jockey, I think. But, I had two very unpushy parents. I remember saying to my mum one time, maybe you should have been a bit more pushy, and she didn't take it too well. But they were always so supportive and, never forced me to do anything, or, just encouraging and supportive. The only thing you would not want to do is forget your course, or my father would go mental.
Well, it'll come as no surprise to you, Rachel, that neighbours and the community of Killinall have been following your progress closely.
I've been Killinall over 40 years now. Rachel and her family would be just 2k out the road there. They've always been customers of mine down through the years. Her father and mother likes good steaks, and Rachel herself likes a good steak, in spite of having to toe the line at times, I suppose, as regards diets and different things. Rachel's grandparents always came into me down through the years, and now I have Emer and Charles, who are always in and out as well. They both like good meat. They like good steaks. They praise the steaks all the time, and when Rachel is down, she'd also have her name in for a good steak when she's around, following her success all the way through. And the whole town is behind Rachel, as she knows herself. Customers coming into the shop, they're asking you, any account of Rachel, how's she doing? We're so proud of her, it's fantastic, and overall this part of the country is steeped in racing, and she's just brought it all to a new level.
There are other Blackmores, and people often ask me how proud I am of Rachel, and indeed I am. But she has two other siblings. She has an older brother, Jonathan, who lives and works in London, and is hoping to go to America soon. And Charlotte, who is just finishing her law exams at the moment. She's just finishing her final law exams to be a solicitor. So, yeah, they're great. We've been really blessed with the kids, haven't we?
Yeah, they all, luckily enough, they all went to one road. They were all interested in riding, and so that meant they're all going to one direction. So they were all three good riders, and she just chose to stick at it a bit longer.
As a family, we all ride. So we were actually, as Charles said, we were really going in the one direction. So that we really weren't giving up anything to allow them to do the riding.
It was probably our social life as well as their activity, so that was a big help too,
As a teacher, I was very keen that she'd go to college and have something to fall back on. She always was interested in riding, and she came home one day anyway and announced that she was thinking of going professional. So I had to say to Charles, what does that mean? I hadn't a clue. And I just asked her if she could go back to amateur if it didn't work out, and she said she could. So yeah, we were delighted for her. She kept the education going, and she qualified in equine science in UL.
So her mother kept pushing that one big time. So farming is a great place to bring up kids. We had a lot of sheep at the time, so kids can work with sheep quite safely, and they can achieve a lot with them. And the three of them worked. The three of them, they were never bored, put it that way, So there was always something to be done. So that was a big help in their. They had their ponies then, and they had their, they were the things to be looked after.
And I remember Rachel famously realising that there wasn't as much money in pet lambs as she thought there was. She says that was a changing point for her. But no, it's just what everybody did. Everybody helped out, and it wasn't a chore. It's just the way it was. As long as she was happy and she was doing what she loved, we were both all for it, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. Yeah. She could revert back to amateur status, if she wasn't successful. So she was, as she said herself, I think, to quote her, that if she had 25 winners, she'd have been over the moon. That, once you went beyond that, I think that was the figure. You couldn't go back, but if she got to there, she'd have been over the moon.
If you love it, you do it, and it is hard from a parent's point of view. Parents can't always dictate what their children do. Would I have liked her to have an office job? Yes, I would. but that wasn't what she wanted, and so I fully support her in doing something that she really loves.
I said here we'll bring you to a couple of pony races down in Kerry, and so we participated in a couple of those, and that would have set the seed, I'm sure, in her mind all those years ago, without her maybe even knowing it.
Great to spend time with your parents in Mortalstown during the week. Rachel, you could have ended up in an office job, a science lab, or shepherdess had things taken a different course.
I know, who knows where I would have ended up. So yeah, I'm very privileged to be doing something as my job, that doesn't feel like my job. So I know I'm very lucky in that sense. Turning
pro, was that a big decision?
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. It was, racing is a little bit different, I suppose, in that it's not a natural progression for someone to turn from the amateur ranks to the professional ranks. There's a lot dictated with weight, and different people are in different situations. So I was just very lucky. Shark Hanlon saw an opportunity in his yard to have a claiming professional there, and gave me that chance to turn. And it's a good job he did.
Well, like all life decisions, they're not that easy at the start.
It didn't take off straight away. She got a few outside rides, and I remember her being beat ahead on a mare of Harry Smith's in Sligo one day called Personal Shopper, and the same mare, she was actually beat a short head on it in Bellewstown in July, and I was saying, oh God, we were fighting for this winner. But it was actually September time before she got her first winner on a horse called Most Honourable down in Clonmel. Most Honourable was a great little servant. He was actually Andrew McNamara's last winner as a professional as well. So he served the two of them well. In the same season then, she had 6 winners out of so many rides. And it just kind of went from strength to strength after that. The following season then, she really started to take off. It jumped from 6 winners to 30 winners, 32 winners actually, the following season. And the season after that, it rocketed again to 34 winners. And then she was champion conditional in 2017. The horses seemed to run and jump for her. I can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but they just, she gets a tune out of them, and she's very relaxed on them. She's a bit like herself, she is very, very relaxed person, and they seem to run and jump for her, yeah. Honeysuckle won the Irish champion, teed her up for Cheltenham. She was obviously going to be a short price favourite after winning in Leopardstown, and she was very impressive in Leopardstown.
And it's Petit Mouchoir and Saldeer, being followed by Honeysuckle in the light blue and white.
I remember going by the road down the back, and Rachel just let her roll.
They're turning towards the second last flight with half a mile to go, and stepping it up in front is Honeysuckle, increasing her advantage to 4 lengths over Petit Mouchoir, and then Abacadabra. Sharjah's trying to improve on the outside. What a jump there by Honeysuckle, leads by 5.
And I said, God, she's gone to the front way too soon, but she just went further and further. She was very, very, very impressive.
At the final flight, and it's Honeysuckle and Rachel Blackmore steady into it, safely over by 6 to 7 lengths from Abacadabra, and third is Sharjah, and then comes Sanwa, but up towards the finish, it's Honeysuckle and Rachel Blackmore. 2 stars aligned, retain the Chanel Farmer Irish Champion Hurdle.
She knows, she knows Honeysuckle better than anyone knows her. Honeysuckle, every time she runs, it's pressure. It's pressure when these horses, especially when she's unbeaten. She was going into Cheltenham as a short price favourite for a champion hurdle, which is nervous stuff. And I suppose on the first day at Cheltenham, she won, took a bit of pressure off.
Honeysuckle is galloping clear as she races towards the last. A lovely leap. She cleared it safely and heads up the hill now. Honeysuckle and Rachel Blackmore clear from Sharjah, Epatante behind those. It's a beautiful straight. 11 victories for Honeysuckle. She is the winner of the Unibet Champion Hurdle.
To have 6 winners in the week and come out leading rider in Cheltenham, it just snowballed from there.
It's been an amazing year. Starting off with COVID and all of that, if you had told me that the year would have turned out like this for Rachel, I would not have believed you. It's been absolutely incredible. When she went to Cheltenham and Honeysuckle won, I said, well, she's had a really good year.
She must have the mother's bravery anyway, so it's incredible really, the dedication I suppose she puts into it, and just you couldn't make it up.
Honeysuckle, a special horse, Rachel, one of your favourites?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. She's really been incredible. Like, you know, everyone dreams about getting, you know, teamed up with something like her in their career, and you know, they don't come along in everyone's. So I'm just so lucky. She's so special, and you know, it's great that, you know, Henry has her to train and Kenny owns her, and yeah, look, she's been unbelievable.
Is there a way to communicate with a horse? Like, you know, does Honeysuckle have kind of characteristics that you play to, or how do you sort of communicate with Honeysuckle?
Yeah, sometimes I wish I could communicate better with some of them. I think she just, you know, she's the type of horse that knows what her job is and knows how important winning is, and is extremely competitive herself. You know, the Irish Champion Hurdle last year, you know, she got headed after the last, but she battled back to win. So she's, you know, she's extremely courageous, and you know, they all have their different kind of mannerisms, I suppose, but you know, you get to know them as you ride.
So you're in the parade ring and you're chatting to the trainer, and you're kind of getting ready with your game plan. I mean, how important is that discussion and that balance between what the trainer is saying and the trust they're placing in you? I mean, how does that all gel?
Sometimes not very well if it doesn't go to plan, but yeah, look, I think as my relationship with Henry has developed over the years, you know, he has a bit more faith in me, I suppose, to know how he likes his horses ridden, and you know, a mare like Honeysuckle, you're just trying not to interfere with her too much, and you know, she knows what she's at as much as anyone.
And will they say to you, well, look, we know it's good for X distance, so hold off, or you know, the big question, when do you go?
You'll have a discussion. You'll have a discussion about tactics and different things. You know, in the Irish Champion Hurdle, she was stepping back to 2 miles, which we thought, you know, was going to be on the short side for her. So, you know, you'll have these different discussions about those kind of things, and everyone will give their opinion. But you know, at the end of the day, it's, you know, the plan A can go out the window, and you have to go for plan B.
So, according to your dad, 25 race winners was the target. That was blown out of the water. Then one winner, Honeysuckle, a winner at Cheltenham. That target was met. So after that win, you must have been thinking, am I in bonus territory now, or what were you thinking?
Yeah, look, I've had a fantastic time of it, to be honest. You know, being champion conditional, first of all, was just massive for me. Very thankful to Gary Cribben, my agent. You know, you need to have someone extremely good at what they do in that sense behind you to get you on these horses for a start. So, you know, when that all came together, it was a massive deal, and, you know, things just kind of snowballed from then. My association with Henry has then brought my career to a whole new level again, and, you know, everyone wants to ride winners in Cheltenham, and I was very lucky. You know, the first year, Aplutar and Minella Indo both won, and then Honeysuckle again. So, yeah, I've been extremely lucky.
So you're up and running, and then you got into St. Patrick's Day. Parades around the world, Irish St. Patrick's Day parades cancelled, and a great start to day 2 for you in Cheltenham.
Yeah, look, Cheltenham was incredible. It really, really was. Like, you know, I suppose Honeysuckle winning on Tuesday was a weight off your shoulders. You know, that was very, very important. So that was a big weight off, yeah.
But you don't have time really to sort of dwell on these things, do you? Because you might be riding in the next race, or you might be, you know, getting other stuff organised. I mean, it's very much in the now, isn't it? You don't have time to kind of reflect on these things on the day, presumably.
Yeah, look, it's 4 days, it's bang, bang, bang. Every day is just as important as the other. You know, all these horses are going over with big expectations. You know, there's no one going over there for the fun of it. So, yeah, it is an intense week.
So then, Bob Olinger, number 2 in the Blackmore Novices Chase, had the Irish cheering, maybe not at Prestbury Park, but elsewhere around the world.
They're off. Robbie Supple gets them away for the curtain raiser on St. Patrick's Day, the Blackmore Novices Hurdle. And the outsider Optimise Prime with the red cap is the first to show up at the first of the 10 scheduled flights. Does he know at the other end of the field in the sheepskin noseband, the last to touch down? So Optimise Prime giving a lead early to Brave Man's Game in the orange jacket and Bear Girls in the maroon and beige, hurdling fluently there. Gaillard du Mesnil in a yellow sleeve jacket settled in about 4th position, racing just in advance of Bob Olinger with the black sleeves, and then Kescon Risk will be against the rail into the turn, and Does He Know in last position and about 5 or 6 lengths off the leading duo as Brave Man's Game joins Optimise Prime. Going towards 4 from home in the Ballymore. Brave Man's Game took off and landed by 3 parts of a length to Bear Gills. Bob Olinger just left a trailing leg. Does He Know being bustled along briefly at the back of the field as they prepare to run on down towards the 3rd last. The tempo lifting. Brave Man's Game with Bear Gills now moving up to apply the pressure. Bob Olinger, black sleeves, disputing 3rd with a strong travelling Gaillard du Mesnil. They in turn are stalked through by Kescon Risk in a black and pink jacket. Then Optimise Prime and Does He Know in the noseband shaken up at the back of the field. Approaching the 3rd last. Brave Man's Game from Bear Gills, Bob Olinger and Gaillard du Mesnil waiting in the wings. Brave Man's Game a length up on landing. Bear Gills a little untidy. Bob Olinger just needs a bit of daylight, just had to wait for the gap to appear, but has now got some clear sailing. Gaillard du Mesnil on the right in the yellow sleeves, just poised, waiting to pounce, it would seem, as they draw towards the 2nd last. Bob Olinger came upsides Brave Man's Game. Bear Gills clipping the top. Gaillard du Mesnil now shaken up, got a couple of lengths to make up, and Bob Olinger noses ahead from Brave Man's Game. Gaillard du Mesnil chasing them towards the top of the straight. Quarter of a mile to go, 1 flight to jump in the Ballymore, and it's Rachel Blackmore and Bob Olinger who've gone for home. Got a couple clear from Brave Man's Game, and Gaillard du Mesnil back in 3rd, clear of Bear Gills. Bob Olinger spring-heeled over the last, he landed 4 clear. Gaillard du Mesnil is chasing, but surely chasing in vain. It's going to be another for Rachel Blackmore and Henry de Bromhead in the Rob Core colours. Bob Olinger, all guns blazing, lands the Ballymore.
What do you think, looking back at that?
Oh, he's a horse with such a massive engine. Yeah, he really is. That was fantastic. It was a real Tipperary winner, owned by Brian Atchison. So, yeah, look, that was a very, very important day, and it was great to do it.
I mean, the traffic you run into, you know, when you're straightening up or during the course, like you're travelling at speed, you would want nerves of steel because, you know, you're not dealing with robots, you're dealing with animals. Anything can happen.
Yeah, that was actually a particularly messy race, and there was only 7 of us in it, so on paper I didn't think it would quite work out like that. But to be honest, when you're riding something like him that has such an engine under you, you know, you're in a supercar and you feel like everyone around you isn't. So, you know, that's probably the easiest way to describe it. You know, you're just able to manoeuvre in and out of gaps when you want and so on. So, yeah, he's a horse with a big future, hopefully.
I mean, it's such a racing parlance. For every human, normal human, it's, oh my God, you're dicing with death. There's horses running in and out. The commentator says, it's just a bit untidy and everyone's travelling at speed. I mean, you really would want to have good nerves. Yeah,
look, you get used to it, I suppose. That's, you know, that's pretty PG looking to the scenes around Tramore down Patrick in the summer, to be honest. So yeah, that's just part of it. So 2 winners in the bag so far, so good on Cheltenham 2021. Yeah, incredible. Yeah, it was. You were able to breathe another sigh of relief, I suppose. But like, they're all just as important in a way, you know. You know, for me, I was riding a favourite in the Champion Hurdle. That was great to get that out of the way. But you know, your upcoming rides are just as important too. You have to zone into it. Then came Sir Gerhard in the Weatherby's Champion Bumper.
Rachel Blackmore, red and white jacket, blue cap on number 9. They're off. Starter lets the tape go and they get going, and it is going to be Sir Gerhard with his white face who is first past the starter, but they're not going very fast at all. A number of these very lit up, including on the extreme left the dark blue and white Cool Jet, just preceding him 3 Stripe Life. In the centre, one of the greys, Super 6, maroon and yellow colours for Tom Bellamy is very keen. Right at the rear early on, L.A. Bell. Harry Skelton anchoring her in the pink and brown colours at the rear of the field. They've completed well over their first furlong, and so Sir Gerhard, Rachel Blackmore, red and white jacket and blue cap, strides through now, led on by over a length, make their way down the hill and towards the last half mile. Sir Gerhard continues to be in front, leading. Ramillies, the grey, in second place. Kilcrot right in behind him in green. Shearer on the left is still there. Wonderwall in black and grey with a chance as well. LA Bell comes next, and then the yellow cap of Three Stripe Life behind these. I like to move it, but they're going to have to move it a bit now to get to Sir Gerhard as they head on towards the home turn. It's now a 2-length lead. Ramillies is in second position. Kilcrot is against the rails in third, driven along. Wonderwall is behind this with Three Stripe Life, but it's Rachel Blackmore. Sir Gerhard into the home straight, levelling up now with about a 5-length advantage. Kilcrot is in second position and sent in pursuit. Taking his time to get there, though. They race now towards the last furlong. Sir Gerhard continues to be in front. Kilcrot is beginning to close, but it's hard work as they race up towards the line. Behind those, LA Bell and Three Stripe Life. Red Jacket, Sir Gerhard. Kilcrot is closing with every single stride, but it was Sir Gerhard who made all.
What a tight finish, Rachel. I mean, did you know you had it in the tank?
No, looking back at it there, and in hindsight, I kicked on a bit too soon. But it's easy to say that now. At least I won. Yeah, look, very, very good horse as well. With a big future too. Hadn't been in Willie Mullins' yard long, so they didn't know a lot about him. Paul elected to ride his other runner, Kilcrot. So it's great to be part of on that team as well and get the opportunities to ride those kind of horses. So yeah, look, it's fantastic.
It's a $6 million question, but when is the time to go? Like, when do you press that button and say, okay, we're just going to go for it now?
Yeah, look, I suppose every race is different, every racetrack is different, every horse rides different and so on. So, sometimes you'll get it wrong and sometimes you'll get it right.
So we've 3 winners up at this stage, for yourself, for Tipperary and for Ireland. And then the rest of Cheltenham must have felt absolutely in dreamland altogether, because what followed after that? Yeah, incredible, really, to be honest. It's hard to kind of put it all into words, isn't it? Well, look, let's just reflect on a few more races and have a look at the greatness of Rachel Blackmore.
Flag raised, and they're off for the Grade 1 Ryanair Chase. 17 fences, 2 miles, 4.5 furlongs, and the reigning champion Min will lead them over the first. It was a real cavalry charge to it. Mr. Fisher is right up there. Allaho wants to be a piece of the pace action. Imperial Aura, Melon and Samcro on the wide outside, and already they have reached fence number 2. At the back of the field, Tornado Flyer is already being ridden along by Danny Mullins to try and hold a position on the inside at the back of the field, together with Chris's Dream and also Fanny and Destraval, as Allaho had the lead over fence number 3. So now quite a long run down the hill before they encounter the 4th fence taken in the home straight, and it's Allaho and Rachel Blackmore who have the lead. As they make the run down the hill now and on towards the 3rd from home, and Allaho has taken no prisoners, attacks this 3rd from home. The lead there a couple of lengths, a mistake by Mr. Fisher towards the outside. Min is still there in 2nd. Kalashnikov hard driven to try and get through on his inside, but it's Allaho who is clear now by some 7 lengths to Kalashnikov, who stayed on into 2nd. From a long way back, Fakir Dudery is staying on in 3rd. He's followed into the race by Tornado Flyer. Min looks held. Mr. Fisher is pulled up and they're racing towards the 2nd last. Allaho comes to it and is over safely. Allaho still has a lead of some 8 lengths over Kalashnikov in 2nd. Fakir Dudery is in 3rd. Tornado Flyer is in 4th. The others at long intervals. The final fence, Allaho didn't get very high, but he's still clear by 8 lengths. Fakir Dudery on the outside now, just steals 2nd from Kalashnikov. Tornado Flyer may pick up a piece of it, but he's absolutely beaten by the winner, the emphatic winner, the brilliant winner of the Ryanair Chase. Allaho has given Willie Mullins a record 4th win in the Ryanair. Allaho wins for Rachel Blackmore.
Into the final final bend. It's Magic Days who leads the way to Glens of Antrim. Rosie's Hollow. The attacks coming from behind. Tell Me Something Girl making eye-catching progress in the red cap under Rachel Blackmore. They're followed out wide by Sky Ace and Mighty Blue, and then Gauloise as they make the long run to the final flight. It's Magic Days who's being hunted down now by Tell Me Something Girl, followed by Glens of Antrim, and then behind these Rosie's Hollow jumping the final flight is going to be Tell Me Something Girl, who's come through to take it up. Tell Me Something Girl is over safely. Magic Days in second, then Sky Ace, and then Glens of Antrim. Mighty Blue onto the stand side, but Tell Me Something Girl is sprinting away up the hill, and here is something. Here's a great mare, Tell Me Something Girl, and Rachel Blackmore, another winner for her at this memorable festival. Quilixios right on terms there and probably just tapped down in front, and Quilixios now goes on. Adagio is poised to challenge, then Hoon Couleur and Zanahia as talking about You falls away. Tritonics got a little bit of ground to make up on the long run to the final flight. Quilixios is challenged by Adagio, then Hoon Couleur. Zanahia needs to pick up now in fourth place, then Tritonic racing for the last. Quilixios over on the far side, Adagio and Tom Scudamore trying to make a race of it from Hoon Couleur back in third place. Here it comes, here is the last. Quilixios will take off with a 2-length lead over Adagio and Hoon Couleur as they race up the hill. Quilixios and Rachel Blackmore out in front again here at Cheltenham, and Quilixios is kicking away, and it's going to be number 6 for Rachel Blackmore at the meeting, and Quilixios wins the JCB Triumph.
More winners, Rachel, in Mortalstown, County Tipperary, just outside Killinall, than the entire English contingent. Bonkers,
yeah. It's unbelievable, yeah. Even watching it all back there, like, it's crazy stuff.
Like, at the end of that week, like, what are you thinking? I mean, you're thinking, God, I could do the holiday now. This year's going incredible. I must do the lotto numbers. What's going through your head?
Yeah, look, it was an unbelievable week. It really, really was. You know, I was very lucky to be getting all these horses, I suppose. I was also thinking I didn't ride the right one in the Gold Cup. That was in my head too, but that unfortunately is going to happen when you're in, you know, the fantastic position I'm in. So yeah, like, it's hard to take it all in, really. You know, you're being presented with you know, a statue in the shape of Ruby Walsh, and AP McCoy presented it to me on the Friday. Like, it was just hard to process it all.
And asking you which was your favourite Cheltenham winner, is that like asking your mother Emer which is her favourite child?
Yeah, I hope they better say me on a night like tonight anyway. Look, the champion hurdle and honeysuckle, I think, you know, it'd be hard not to say, you know, winning a champion hurdle is extremely special.
What about that pressure that was mentioned earlier, that you're trying to retain, you know, that undefeated record, or is there just general pressure? Although Barry Geraghty famously said once pressure is for tires. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, look, I just try and not to, you know, let it consume you, or, you know, try and treat it like another race. You know, that's great in theory, easier said than done a lot of the time, but you know, it's great when it just eventually gets going, I think. The build-up is the worst part, but when you get legged up in the parade ring and you're heading down to the start, it's, you know, you're essentially trying to achieve the same thing as you are, you know, in Clonmel here on a weekday, you know, so yeah, there is pressure there, obviously, but you know, luckily you're able to get out the other side of it. And,
you know, there's a lot of talk now about mental health and wellness and, you know, relaxing and giving time to yourself. So how do you compartmentalize all that? I mean, how do you switch off? Like, so obviously, you know, you've got Cheltenham coming up. What are you doing to sort of relax and take your mind off things?
I don't know. There wasn't too much could be done this year, I think. A lot of Netflix shows got watched anyway. I think that was the same in every single household in the country. But look, I love what I'm doing, you know, so that's a massive help.
No, you didn't have much time to relax anyway, because Aintree was only around the corner after Cheltenham.
I know, like Cheltenham happened, and we'd Fairyhouse and the Irish National Meeting, and then we were Aintree and Punchestown, so it was bang, 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 all the way to the end of the season.
Now, with the greatest of respect to all other races that we've spoken about heretofore, I mean, the Grand National is one of the world's showstoppers, isn't it? The Aintree Grand National.
Yeah, like I've realised now the absolute global reach that the race has. I thought media and stuff was mad after Cheltenham, but I didn't realise how mad it could be until
well, I mean, you're here
Aintree.
tonight, obviously, as well, of course.
So like it really is a race that penetrates a lot of different corners of the globe. It's a race that it would have been my first introduction into racing. My best friends Nikki and Carly Halley, I remember being over at their house, I don't know, as a kid, probably 7, 8 or 9 or something. And
I think we all have those memories. It's one of those races, isn't it?
Yeah, like I remember they do a sweepstakes, and that was my first kind of memory of racing or watching racing. So I think the Grand National is a race that captures every child's imagination as well.
They talk about the Melbourne Cup as the race that stops a nation in Australia, but I think the Aintree Grand National is really one of those in this part of the world. But every time you watch it, it seems so chaotic, both in the race and at the start. So when you head down to the start, and we're just going to look at that in a minute, but like as you leave the parade ring heading down, like what's it like? What have you got to prepare for? What are you thinking?
Yeah, there's a much different feel in the Grand National, even in the parade ring before you go out, in relation to Cheltenham. Jockeys aren't under the same pressure, we'll say, as you would be going out to ride a favourite in Cheltenham. I think everyone knows a Grand National is very different. It's 40 horses, 30 jumps. There's a lot can go wrong. So, even trainers and owners are kind of wishing you best of luck and that kind of thing. You can't give a jockey too many instructions going out in a Grand National. Other jockeys, everyone's very excited. It's a fantastic race to be part of. So there's a major buzz just even being there and taking part.
This is probably going to sound like a crazy question, and someone in racing probably wouldn't ask it, but do the horses get...
I'm worried now.
Do the horses get nervous? Like, how do you calm down the horse, or is that an issue?
Different horses. They're exactly like people. Some people in crowds will feel it a bit. Others won't bat an eyelid. So they're extremely similar to people in that sense.
Okay, well look, let's remember the 2021 Aintree Grand National.
Here they come. They're off for the 2020 Randox Grand National. 40 runners getting away, and as they head towards the Melling Road, one of the slowest away, Give Me a Copper's out the back early on. Sub-lieutenants towards the rear as well with Bally Optic. Any second now is prominent though. Kimberlite Candy is also prominent. Jet towards the outside with Yala Enki double shuffle and Acapella Bourgeois, and here's the first.
The whole way through a race, she's thinking the whole time. She seems to outthink a lot of the jockeys. And her natural raw ability, riding ability, takes over that she doesn't even have to think about that.
Rachel had said to me one day herself, even to get her round, she'd be happy.
She again had the protocols to go through, so we didn't actually see a lot of her. And then I said, oh God, it's at Aintree time again.
She lives in Carlow, so
yeah.
So Aintree came up very quickly.
I remember looking at the entries for Aintree and I said, 40 to 1. I was saying, all right, and then it went shorter and shorter and shorter, and I said, oh, this is only because, she was successful now in Cheltenham. So, I think it was going to happen? No.
Does your belief grow as you go around the track at Aintree? I mean, what kind of a track is it? I mean, the fences to the normal human look huge, Rachel.
Yeah, they're not small anyway. I think you get a feel after you jump 3 or 4 if your horse is going to take to them or not. All the signs from riding Manila times previously, I've ridden around Leopardstown and so on, that he would take to them. He really enjoys jumping. He's very intelligent. So, I had every confidence that he would take to it. But yeah, I was very happy after we jumped a few. He really seemed to be adapting well. Again,
another mad non-racing question, but does it get easier as you go forward? I mean, do the fences get smaller because there's so many horses jumping over them? I know that, like there's wild horses there's loose horses, but with the number and the volume of horses jumping through Beatrice, for example, are they... Yeah, they would, the tops would get knocked off them. If you're out the back, we'll say,
you know, a lot of the furs has gone off the fence. So I was kind of, you know, it's probably just the front of my division most of the way, even a bit closer. So
you have a game plan in your mind at this stage, have you?
Yeah, look, if I could have written down how I wanted the race to go beforehand, that's pretty much how it went. You know, I seemed to have a little gap and, you know, a half moon shape in front of me everywhere. You know, a horse might have fell in front of me, Double Shuffle fell in front of me at one stage, but he fell left and I was to the right of him. You know, those little things were just falling my way, and you need that luck in a race like the National.
So many variables in the equation. Let's pick up the 2021 Aintree Grand National once again.
It's Jet. Steadies and over safely. 12 lengths clear from Cloth Cap, Burrow St. Discorama. Then Manila Times, Cabaret Queen and Farclaf and Verlion Rouge and Acapella Bourgeois. Then Balco de Fleur and Black Line from Chris's Dream. Alpha de Zobe, Yolarenki and Talk is Cheaper the next ones. Then Kimberlite Candy in the long mile together with Shattered Love. And then Milan Native, Verlion Rouge has gone there. Verlion Rouge is out of the race as they now go down towards the one before Beaches, and Jet is still well clear.
With a commanding advantage, must be 8 or 10 lengths clear of Cloth Cap in second place. Burrow Saint moving easily in the pink jacket. Cabaret Queen's on the outside. They're followed through by Ballyoptic, refused at the back of the field. Back on the inside, Manila Times is still handy, but Jet leads by a widening margin, if anything, over Beaches Brook. Leads by a good 10 lengths, maybe 12, to Cloth Cap and Burrow Saint. And then behind these is any second now as they stream over. Hogan's Height is right out the back. So too is Class Conti. Pulling up, there is the long mile as they jump the Foynaven Fent, and it's Jet that continues to lead in the hands of the amateur Sam Whaley Cohen, well clear of the favourite Cloth Cap.
Rachel, anyone picking this race up after being down and the shops coming back in, oh my God, the Grand National is on, and even backers of Jet under Sam Whaley Cohen at this point must have been saying, we're going to be in the money tonight, when you look at that.
Yeah, look, he was getting a great spin off from Sam. Jet was jumping really well. But to be honest, you're kind of concentrating on your own, you know, you're just kind of riding your own horse in a race like that.
Are you thinking how many jumps are left, how many circuits are left at this stage?
Yeah, you do. Like when you get over the chair and you head out on the second circuit, you do kind of take a breath there, and you know, you're after getting around everything once, so you just have to do it all again. So yeah, you're just kind of, you're definitely, you know, getting over the canal turn the second time and down over Valentine's, and then you're starting to think, you know, if you're still there and you're still going well, you definitely have your chance.
And in the race, I know this is another mad one, right? But do you talk to the horse, or do you say, well done on that, or keep going, or can they even hear you? Is it so loud?
No, the only thing I'd really ever say is whoa, if they're kind of, you know, getting a bit strong. That just seems to be an instinctive thing to say.
And what about when you're picking it up then?
Yeah, you might use your voice, definitely. You might kind of click at them or kind of encourage them with your voice. Yeah, you just kind of do whatever possesses you at the time.
Yeah. Well, of course, we all know how it finished. So let's watch the conclusion of the 2021 Aintree Grand National.
It's Jet not so far in front now, but it's still 8 lengths or so. Chris's Dream is unseated rider over that final ditch. It is Jet clear, going towards 3 out from Burrow Saint. Cloth Cap's going to be pulled up before the next one. Cloth Cap is out of the race as Jet leads, but only now by about 4 or 5 lengths to Burrow Saint, who travelled strongly there in second place. Manila Times is to the inside of him. Then Discorama, Black Lion has got notably closer now. Then to the outside, Cabaret Queen. Balco de Flo is also now looking to play his part. Then any second now and Farclar. These were ahead from Alpha de Zobo. Then Shattered Love way back to Milan Native. Give Me a Copper and Class Conti as they head towards home. There's still quite a few chances. Jet has now come back to them, about to be joined by Manila Times. Balco de Flo between them, Burrow Saint. Any second now, Discorama and Black Lion right behind.
Jet is running his race. It was a gallant race, but he's fading back through the field swiftly.
You nearly watch her with total confidence because she was in a rhythm, and you could nearly pick from a long way out that something had to go wrong nearly for her to get beaten.
It's kind of like a lottery, because your horse might be going fine, but somebody else might be unlucky and get pushed out, and you might be trying to account for the other horses, ride the other horses, the loose ones, as well as your own. So there's an awful lot of luck in it.
Balco de Flo with the orange cap. Burrows Saint to the pale pink silks. Manila Times the star on the cap on the right for Rachel Blackmore. And she lands just in front over the second last Rachel. It's Manila Times from Balco de Flo. Burrows Saint any second now. The hoops for the white cap. Staying on then Discarama. Here's the final fence in the Randox Grand National. And over in front and over 2-3 lengths clear Manila Times. From Balco de Flo any second now continues to stay on. Burrows Saint wandering out into the centre of the track. They head towards the elbow with over a furlong to cover in the National, but it's Rachel Blackmore and Manila Times who are out 4 lengths clear of Balco de Flo, and any second now Burrows Saint back in fourth is running on empty. 150 yards to go in the National. Manila Times for J.P. McManus, Henry de Bromhead, and more significantly Rachel Blackmore. History in the National. Manila Times wins from Balco de Flo.
About 14 years ago, she rode for me in Cartmel in England. I'd say it might have been her first ride in the track. I'm not on the actual race course. And a crazy horse that bucked and jumped. She loved it. She rode for me in Black Forest Lodge in Point to Point down in Devon. And 2 bad horses. But she loved it. She just loved riding. And it was great to see that culmination of getting from there to riding at the winner of the Grand National.
Did we get excited? We did a little at the end, and I was corrected by Charles by telling me after she jumped the last, she's not home yet. So, yeah, then the place went absolutely nuts.
The excitement here in the shop was just unreal. We brought the place down. Customers and ourselves, we all got to see it. It was mighty, mighty.
We're delighted that she has given people a lift. That's really it, you know what I mean? It's fantastic that she's responsible for, during these awful times, when people are under such constraints during coronavirus and people have had loss during that time. So the fact that she maybe has given people a little bit of a lift, and the number of letters we got from older people who, I don't follow racing, but I love Rachel. Those kind of letters, it's really amazing. When she came back from Aintree, now she had her protocol and everything to do, but she did pop up to show us the trophy and whatever. And I arrived home from school and I was terribly excited because I saw her car. And I went into the kitchen. On the kitchen table there was the trophy for winning the Grand National. Yeah. And I said, where is she? And then I go out to stable, and Charles is pairing her old eventer, pairing her feet, and Rachel is holding her. And I said, that's back to normal.
Rachel Blackmore, history in the National. Manila Times wins.
How are you feeling after all that?
I still don't have the words. You're looking the words you want from me. I don't think. It's still incredible. I don't even have the words to explain.
Do you get emotional watching that?
Yeah, I do. And I haven't seen a lot of people who will say, I'm only in the last 2 weeks met up with people I haven't seen. So people would say, well done to you and whatever. And it still hits me every time. My God, like that, it did happen. Like it's really unbelievable.
Did you ever see the movie National Velvet?
Oh, of course I did. Yeah, I did. It was incredible. They after Aintree, loads of the English media was trying to kind of pull some kind of a line out of me about National Velvet, and that's what inspired me or something. But I just couldn't give them what they wanted on that, and I can't give it to you either.
It was hanging around Mortalstown. Really, was your inspiration?
Yeah, look, I just you don't need to be. It's the Grand National. Like it's just incredible to ride in the race and get around is an achievement.
So Johnny O'Dwyer was right. You just wanted to get around, really.
Yeah, no, you want to win, obviously, but getting around in the Grand National is an achievement in itself. And you kind of don't dare to let yourself think that you might win it someday. As we said earlier, you need so much to kind of go your way on the day and whatnot. So. Incredible.
Well, we're delighted to share those great memories with you. I presume you're getting a sense of the impact you've had on Ireland and Tipperary over the last while?
yeah, look, it's been unbelievable. Like to drive through Kilnall there when I came back, and there was pictures of me in people's houses, and in the butchers as we saw, and congratulations signs up and everything. Like that means so much. You can really feel how how it's affecting people. And when I came back from Aintree, we were in a lockdown at that time, but in the estate I live in Carlow, everyone that lived there came out to the front of their houses, and they clapped me back in as I drove back in. Just those little things that people do make it so special.
Well, amongst others, members of Tipperary County Council, Rachel, want to share their congrats.
It's a phenomenal, historic occasion for Rachel and for her family and for the hills of Killinall. Rachel is such a success story. She brought great excitement here to the Slivardia area a number of weeks ago by winning in Cheltenham and then topping it all off, becoming an Aintree Grand National winner, first female jockey in history. So there was great excitement. It was absolutely brilliant to be in here in Killinall and to see the shop fronts done up and to see the windows and the posters and the bunting and the banner. You look at this area, it's steeped in horse racing industry. We have Coolmore, we have Baldoyle. Here in Killinall we've Croghan Stud, we've Meadowview Stables, we've Edward O'Grady's, and Rachel herself is an inspiration to all the upcoming jockeys. We have a number of upcoming jockeys in the area. We have Gavin Ryan, we've Ben Cohn, we've young Andrew Slattery, and they look up to her as a role model.
I can recall going to a point-to-point in Aidan Kennedy's lorry. They picked me up at my own gate, and Rachel was in the back heading off to Arbullogue in County Cork on a wet old Sunday. And I saw her gritty side, and I kind of have been pretending ever since that I saw that early spark in her, but I'm not sure I did, but I certainly saw something that she had a great determination, and she's a wonderful person, and I'm delighted for her and her success. Rachel, you've been an absolute inspiration, and I want to wish you well, your family, Charles and Emer, your brother Jonathan and Charlotte, the whole Blackmore family, the very best for the future. I think you've really put Mortalstown on the map, your home place in Killinall. I wish you the very best of good health and Goramila Mahagut Golair.
We always watched the Grand National, we always watched the Cheltenham. They're the two festivals that we'd always watch. But I remember the day the Grand National, we were at home, and every year we always put on a bet, the whole family. We pick a couple of horses between us and put on the bet and see who wins. And it was actually my niece, 6-year-old Kate, that actually won. She picked Rachel that day, and it was a great success. She was delighted that evening going home, delighted that she won, and she took the money with her in the pocket and off she went. It's phenomenal. I mean, this girl only turned professional in 2015, and look at the success she's had to date. I mean, I'm all for sport. I love sport. I think female participation in sport, and even in the world of politics, you can see they're always calling on more female participation in politics as well. So it was absolutely fantastic to see a female come out and win this race, and she had success 3 weeks earlier in Cheltenham as well. Can you imagine what this is doing to the youngsters around this country that have an interest in horse riding and stuff when they see this girl and what she can achieve? And look, it's great. It's great for the country.
Inspiration, sporting ambassador, role model. How do those terms make you feel, Rachel?
Hope I don't mess it all up now. Yeah, look, I don't know. Like I'm privileged to be this person, I suppose, that people look up to now, and yeah, it's but for me personally, it's still a massive deal, to be this person. And
you said there a few weeks ago, I think, you didn't even feel like Rachel Blackmore. You didn't feel like yourself. It was almost an outer body experience even after Aintree.
Yeah, it was incredible. Like I didn't, you'd always kind of think, I wonder what I'd say. You'd be walking the track, and your mind would be wandering, you're thinking what you'd say now when you'd win and everything. And no, I can't even remember. It's kind of a blur. Like when I watch back the footage, I can't really remember. Like it's just
being in the moment.
The whole thing just takes you over. Like it's an incredibly emotionally big deal,
Well, many other members of Tipperary County Council also want to send you their best wishes.
My message to Rachel is simply congratulations on her fantastic achievement over the last 12 months. And not just that 12 months, but the lifetime of commitment that she's given to the horse racing industry. Fantastic year. It wasn't something that just happened in the last number of months. Like, this has been a lifetime's worth of work that culminated in Rachel getting her just rewards for that dedication and hard work. If anything, we celebrate her achievement tonight, and we thank her for being such an example to the wider community and to the wider world, because she represents Tipperary the same as she represents herself, with class, with pride. And we're lucky to have someone of her calibre representing Tipperary on the international market.
It's an honour to be here in Parisstown Racecourse, Clonmel, to congratulate you, Rachel, on your wonderful achievement in the sport of horse racing. You're at the pinnacle of your success, and I wish you more success. Keep doing what you're doing. You're an ambassador for the sport. You're an ambassador to all the girls there looking up to you as a champion jockey, and it's just fantastic to see you out there competing on a level playing field with men. It's about the only sport that men and women compete with on a level playing field, and I personally want to congratulate you and wish you the best for the incoming season.
A serious inspiration, and I've been told a story about Rachel where she attended a race meeting lately in Tramore, and she had 3 winners on the day, and she was fairly tired on the way out, but there was a bunch of young children outside with little placards that they'd made up themselves, fans of Rachel, and she stopped the car and walked back to the kids, gave autographs of them and spent some time talking to them, to really show Rachel her personality. Rachel's connection to Clonmel is one that should be spoken about as well, in that she went to the Loretta's convent school in Clonmel, and that school had banners all over the railings of the school congratulating Rachel on the fantastic performance she had during the year.
When you think about all the success you've had, Rachel, and hopefully many more days of success to come, I mean, just taking, for example, the Grand National, you went to school in the Loretta. Like a hop, skip and a jump down the road, you have Hotel Manila, where the man who spotted the potential of your Aintree Grand National winner, I suppose, earns a crust. John Nallen. I mean, that's hard in the world that we're in. It's hard to believe that those two things are so close together, aren't they?
Oh, it's unbelievable, really. I would have snuck into the leisure centre a few times with my friend Finola when we were younger. She was a member, I wasn't, but I would have put the head down and tried to get in. So I got plenty of free swims out of him back in the day.
You might get an honorary membership out of him now as well.
But no, like, it's incredible. Like, you know, he's produced the Gold Cup winner and the Grand National winner this year. You know, he does an incredible job with all his horses, you know, buying them and producing them in point of points along with Corky Carroll. And yeah, it's just fantastic, and it's a very important, you know, the point of pointing is a very important grassroots of the whole industry, which, you know, educates these horses, you know, to make my job a lot easier.
I mean, imagine all the people and the industry trying to win the Grand National, and the two of you are only out the road from each other.
Yeah, look, it's phenomenal. It really is. You know, and it's I'm delighted for him that he has achieved this as well this year. You know, it's great to keep it all in the locality.
Well, of course, John Nallen has another achievement to his name now. He's an internet star.
The Blackmore stick we go back for years. I mean, Charles, I buy the feed off Charles, Stonebridge feed, and Emer and Charles had their wedding in Manila. Emer's father was area Guinness rep. When my father opened Manila, he was the man that opened the Guinness account for Manila, going back in 1961. So it goes back that far, you know. We're always very close.
Go on now, Rachel! Go on! Go on! Go on! Go on now!
You'd be kind of embarrassed about the video. We were coming from a point to point in Cork. We had a winner, and we were coming back, and horse and the lorry I was driving, and we were coming through Care, and my wife Bernadine rang me, and she said, "Where are you?" I said, "We're in Care." She said, "Well, you're going to miss the race, you see." Well, I said, "Like, sure, we'll see it in the phone, but we have to keep going. We have to get your man back. We have the goods. He's after winning. We have to mind him, get him sold. Like, that's our next job, you know." So she said, "Well," I said, "Sure, I can't go into the guard barracks in Care and say, 'Can you turn on the television?' Lads, like, you know." So she said, "I passed John Harney's house. I ring John and see is he there." So I rang John, he was there, he was cutting the grass. So I said, "Will you turn on the television?" And we went in, the race was just off, we went in and sat down, and he's a gadget man, and he sat down. I didn't know, I just sat and looked at the race, and like, it was unbelievable, like, to think that you know, horse you had in the lorry that you brought back from a point to point, that you brought back from sales to foal, that you reared, that had in the shed every year, that he's after winning the, you know, I mean, to, like that's the ultimate, like, you know, whatever sport you're in, that was the pinnacle of the whole thing, and that was it. And to get there, like, it's unbelievable, you know.
Have you met John since?
I have, yeah, I have. I was down there with him, so yeah, it was great. It was brilliant.
I'm sure people are probably ringing me now saying, John, you wouldn't have another horse there in the same bracket, presumably.
No, look, as I said, he does a fantastic job with all of them, and you know, he doesn't rush his horses. He produces them as they come to themselves. So that's a big thing as well. You know, he lets them develop at their own rate, and yeah, there's no doubt there'll be a lot more massive winners come from Manila.
Well, as you probably know, Rachel, Tipperary's equine tradition is set to be celebrated and enhanced in the months ahead in the heart of Tipperary horse country in Fethard.
We're here in Fethard Horse Country Museum, lovingly restored medieval building. Around 5-6 years ago, we said that we were in bad need of some tourism outlets here in the town, and we said we'd use this building possibly if we could secure it for the purposes of putting in an exhibition which combines the equine and historical background that is synonymous with Fethard and the surrounding area. Fethard had a huge tradition. Horses came here and were prepped and went on the train and went off to fight in World War I. There was, like I say, all this national hunt tradition that was around before flat racing took off. And then when Ballydoyle and Coolmore started, that huge influence into the area. That's after creating a wonderful buzz for this local area. And we've showcased that to its prime here in this wonderful exhibition here in Fethard Horse Country. Tourism and equine tourism is a big has a big part to play now in our Irish psyche, and we're now starting to tap into that element of tourism. And that's what we're trying to attract here. And we're linking in with Cashel. We link in with the Irish National Stud. There's a new theme coming in now, which is Thoroughbred Trail. It links in the horse element and the equine element of tourism around the country. I'm wearing another hat in that we're about to launch and to build a new all-weather racetrack over in Tipperary town. That's going to link in with here as well. Cashel, there's an element there with the Cashel Palace now ready to open, and a wonderful equine heritage there. The great Vincent and Jacqueline O'Brien used to own the Cashel Palace at one time, now owned by Vincent and Jacqueline's daughter Susan and John Magner. That's going to be very exciting, and we are going to link in with all those elements now in the next couple of years, hopefully. We have something like, I think, the 6 Grand National winners, and there's 8 Gold Cup winners, have all emanated from around this area, either being bred, owned or trained. And it's great in recent times now to see Rachel, great young local lass that is a wonderful, wonderful sport lady and ambassador for the sport. And so soon we're going to be inducting her into our exhibition here, and duly so, she's a wonderful ambassador.
Another item, I presume, in your inbox, Rachel, has your email inbox exploded in recent months?
Yeah, look, it's a little bit fuller, all right, but yeah, look, it's fantastic. I'm in a fantastic position, and I'm very, very lucky, you know, to be invited here tonight, for instance, and, you know, for all these wonderful things to be happening.
Well, we're delighted to welcome Joe McGrath, who's Tip County Council's CEO. Joe, another great chapter in Tipperary sporting heritage unfolding in front of us.
Absolutely, Paul. It's just an honour to be here this evening and to be in the presence in the same council chamber, Rachel, as yourself and your mum and dad, Emer and Charles. Lovely to have you here as well. Orca Hirlock, Councillor Michael Smith. And I suppose reflecting on what's happening here this evening, it's the elected members, the Cathaoirleach of Tipperary County Council, the elected members, the elected citizens, if you like, of Tipperary, saying to you, Rachel, thank you very much, and acknowledging your wonderful achievement and what you've done for your home area, your community. You're so rooted in your community, you get that sense, but also for your county and your country. And it's their way of saying, look, thank you so much. And particularly, I suppose, reflecting that your achievement at any time would be magnificent, but doing that at a time when we're coming out of or trying to come out of a pandemic, and when people are feeling maybe a little bit low and maybe a little bit sad about things, and people have been through a tough time, that you gave that huge hope and that ray of light to so many people to say, you know, this is great, this is an achievement, and the confidence that you come through and what your achievements at that scale and that level. Well done, Rachel, and thank you so much. On my own behalf, on behalf of all the staff of Tipperary County Council, the elected members have thanked you as well, but I'd like to do so as well and join in with them.
Thank you. Thanks, Millie.
And racing and the horse racing industry and the equine industry, Joe, it's actually a big deal for Tipperary, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very significant. I mean, Morris has spoken about it there, but to put some figures on it, they're not my figures, they're figures of Horse Racing Ireland produced a report in 2019, and in that report they put direct and indirect employment about 2,500 people, and a spend of just short of €400 million. It's very, very significant, and that's Tipperary, and that's what it means to this county. So it's supporting a lot of economic activity, it's supporting jobs, it's supporting a whole range of things, and I suppose it's something which is identified with Tipperary. You know, people, when people think of Tipperary, they think of the thoroughbred industry, they think of horse racing, and then Rachel comes along and does what she does, and it even puts it out there even further. So, you know, there's a whole, if you like, a fortunate consequence of many, many things that are coming together, which are putting Tipperary out there and putting Tipperary very firmly on the global map.
The world has changed, Joe, even since 2019, obviously, as well. Staycationing and holidaying at home and all these kind of tourism-related activities are emerging now as a real importance to the local economy. And I suppose you could probably expect some degree of a tourism benefit locally from this activity as well.
Without a doubt, and I suppose Morris spoke a little bit about that, but last year Tipperary County Council, working with the Tipperary Tourism Company, produced a product development plan for tourism. That's about a series of linkages of products that could bring people to the county, that would be a reason for people to visit Tipperary. And one of the, what we call the hero products in that, was the Tipperary Equine experience. And when I say a hero product in a tourism sense, that means something that could generate visitors of at least 100,000 people to the county. So the Tipperary Equine experience was about the equine experience, Coolmore, Fethard, all around Rachel's home country. And of course, the decision by Horse Racing Ireland to choose the Tipperary racetrack, the racecourse, as the second location for an all-weather track. And I suppose, again, somewhat fortunately, Fault Ireland were also developing within Ireland's Ancient East their offering. So we're working at a national level, working very much at a local level here, but also at a national level with our colleagues in Kildare, for example. We're sitting down with our colleagues in Kildare County Council, with Fault Ireland, with the Curragh Racecourse, with Punchestown, with the Irish National Stud and others, to see, well, how could we maximise, if you like, visitors and tourists into both Kildare and Tipperary, and maximise that in terms of creating a tourism product. And we're very, very excited about that. We believe there's a real potential in that. There's a lot of resources going into that at the present time. So, you know, it's obviously going to take some time to develop, but we're going to build on it, and there's a great determination behind that at the present time.
Okay, Joe. And to be fair, Rachel, having spent a bit of time in Fethard recently, you know, if you stop in the town, every second car has a horse box on it, so you were probably going to end up in some form of equine or racing or horse industry from your youth.
Yeah, look, it's a part of the world that's steeped in it, isn't it? You know, you've Coolmore 2 miles out the road, so yeah, there's equine related people everywhere. So I don't think there's going to be ever any other path for me to go down in some shape or form.
And of course, thanks to your mum Emer, you have the equine science to fall back on.
Yeah, she fought for me for that. She did. No, she was brilliant. Yeah, she always made sure college applications were done and all those kind of boxes were ticked. So
she didn't have to check up your assignments. I presume you were able to look after those yourself.
Yeah, just about scraped through them, I'd say. There was never any massively good grades. My sister got all the good grades in our house.
Oh, well, look, we're on the final straight tonight, Rachel. But just before we move on, we have a few more messages for you from Killinall.
The civic reception by the councillors and by the county of Tipperary, and we're delighted with that, because I think when Rachel was doing so well with Aintree, we'd all love to have welcomed her back here to Killinall and paraded Rachel and the horse through the street, but that wasn't possible. And then when Cheltenham was super as well, and we would have delighted to have welcomed her here to Killinall, but with the lockdown it wasn't possible. So I'm delighted that Tipperary County Council are recognising it, because we can all join with it, and we all want to join with in celebrating Rachel's great achievement at this time. it was a special month here for her. We were lighting the candles for her. We were up and down the town. I never felt as great a buzz around Killinall as we followed her. She became a national hero, really, that she did, and we're delighted for her, and we're delighted that this award is being presented to her by Tipperary County Council, and we salute Rachel on a wonderful year and a wonderful achievement, and the best of luck to her in her future career.
We're absolutely, really delighted that they've chosen to honour Rachel in this way, and so thank you very much, our own County Council, for looking after Rachel. And the support that she's got has been amazing. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's incredible, really, to have that honour bestowed on her and on us, I suppose, as well. So
by default.
Yeah.
Hi, Rachel. Good to see you there. Yeah, well done on all your success. You're an icon for Killinall, Tipperary, and Ireland, and all sports people out there in general. What you have achieved is just amazing. It's any young girl or boy's dream to get the success that you have, and you have opened the world up to all this. It just, if you give the full commitment like what you have done, it can be done, and that's it. And we all know where you got it from. You're used to working at home on the family farm with Emer and Charles, and I do know they have been telling me if there was a day's work to be done, no better girl to tug out and get out there and help out. And that's how you have achieved what you have achieved. You'd settle for nothing less than 100%. And up Killinall, all the way.
Hi, I'm Tom Kennedy, Aidan Kennedy's son, and I'm now 16. Rachel used to babysit me when I was younger, and I'd like to wish Rachel best of luck for the future.
Hi Rachel, and just before we leave Killinall here today, we have a very, very special guest for you, Rachel. Your #1 supporter in Ireland, Tipperary, most important in Killinall, the one and only Billy Lawrence. Now Billy.
Hi Rachel, congratulations on your big success. I'm a big fan of racing because all my uncles are big into racing. That's how I kind of got to know racing and all that. Do you know, but I'm a really big fan of racing, and I'm a really big fan of Rachel Blackmore. Rachel winning the Grand National has put Nallen at Cloud 9. Do you know, we're just blown away we're just blown away, like, do you know. After the Grand National and Aintree, I said to my mum and dad, Mum and Dad, I'd love to get a picture of Rachel Blackmore. And I said, Dad said, we can get a picture because they just live over the road. So we wrote a letter thinking that we wouldn't get reply, but we did get reply a week after. I didn't know what was in the letter, to be honest. Until I opened up the letter, till I opened up the brown envelope, and I got the biggest fright in my life, because this was it. And you're just feeling ecstatic when you see something like this, like, oh sure, this means the world to me, you know. It just means, like, and to meet Rachel Blackmore on this server was be one of the best moments of my life. It just won, like, you know.
That's another date for your diary, Rachel.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Billy, if you're watching, I'll be on soon, don't worry.
Very good. Well, look, Rachel, we are going to proceed with the formal element of the evening, and thanks to Billy and the people of Killinall for all their warmth in recent weeks. Michael Smith, over to you.
Thanks, Paul. Rachel, there's been many tributes to you tonight, but I want to read the citation. It's a civic reception which we hope will take a place on your wall, and it reads, "Be it known that the Cathaoirleach Councillor Michael Smith and members of Tipperary County Council, acting on behalf of the people of Tipperary and in exercise of its powers under Section 74 of the Local Government Act 2001, resolved at its meeting on Monday the 14th of June 2021 to confer a civic reception to Rachel Blackmore in recognition of her making sporting history in becoming the first ever female to win the Leading Jockey Award at the 2021 Cheltenham Racing Festival, and also by becoming the first female jockey to win the Randox Grand National with victory on Manila Times at Aintree on Saturday the 10th of April 2021, and in so doing bringing honour to the county of Tipperary.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Nice one for the wall.
I feel like there should be a massive clap.
Well, with that, Rachel, we, Tipperary County Council, commissioned a special piece, and
wow.
I think you'd agree it is a special piece.
It's class, yeah.
We are delighted that Thomas Adlam from Lochmore Castleiney, and there's been many royal battles on the hurling field between Killinall and Lochmore, but tonight this Lochmore man, who is a creator of a special piece for you, he's a wood turner of 30 years. This piece of wood, it's 800 years old, from a yew tree, and as we know with yew trees, they're magical in their properties, and I think it's a magical piece. He did tell me to make sure to say to you that this is you here ahead, that you've won by a short head or a neck or whatever.
That'll do
so
me.
This is you. But
it doesn't matter how far you win.
It doesn't matter, but we are delighted, and thank you very much tonight. I hope the memories and I hope the presentation, the tributes tonight, they're only fitting for your exceptional performance. So thank you very much. We'd like to present you that as well.
Thank you. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much. That's very
nice, very nice. And Micheál, you're finishing up as well. Your last act as Cathaoirleach.
That's right. And I suppose as Cathaoirleach, I don't think you'd ever, as a Cathaoirleach, get a better way to leave office, as they say. And, you know, tonight, when we look back in the year that we've had, it's been a challenge for Tipperary County Council. It hasn't been easy, but I think as a local authority, we have stepped up our game as well when so many organisations, businesses needed our help, and I hope that we were there. But I just want to say, I think Rachel's mother put it very well this evening in accomplishing what really Rachel did, and what she did was she lifted everybody's spirits and everybody's heart at a time when it was so difficult. And Rachel spoke about when her neighbours in Carlow came out to salute her. But we remember the jockeys when you came back to Thurles as well, where you had your first winner with Stowaway Pearl, and they saluted her as well. Well, tonight is our tribute on behalf of everybody in the county in the darkest of times, that you put a smile on everybody's face. Well done, and we're delighted to have you here tonight.
Thank you so much.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Some way to go out, Micheál.
Yeah, I couldn't enjoy it anymore.
Very good.
Well, I hope you did too. It was
a
fantastic evening, and we're so privileged to have you here.
No, thank you so much. You've all went to such an effort to put all this together, so it's very much appreciated.
What's next for Rachel?
So next up, I suppose the Galway Festival is kind of the next kind of big racing festival coming up, and then we've Listowel, and then we're kind of back into the winter months again. So hopefully now the country and coronavirus etc. is starting to improve. So we'll hope to get the crowds back soon.
What about lifestyle, Rachel? Is there much needed, like gym work and that type of stuff, for your line of work?
Yeah, definitely. I do bits of that on downtime especially, but diet and so on, I'm lucky I don't have to worry about that, much to my mother's sadness, but no, I'm very lucky in that sense.
So you can eat absolutely anything, no bother?
Yeah, like I'm riding over jumps. If I was riding on the flat, I'd have to watch my weight a lot, but no, I'm very lucky.
So you like a good steak anyway. We've learned that tonight.
Definitely learned that, and there's no better place to get a good one anyway than John O'Dwyer's.
He'll be taping this now for his internet ad, that after this.
Oh, I'd be happy to oblige.
And come here, what about long journeys? I mean, we heard your agent Gary talking earlier about, driving around to you could be in Ballinrobe one minute, or you could be in, down the country the next. I mean, you're in the car a lot.
Yeah, in the car a lot, but we share lifts a lot as well, so that's a big help too.
Conor Sweeney told us that he has ABBA and Cher to get him in the zone when he's going to matches, something he'll probably never live down. What does Rachel have on in the car when she's travelling around?
Oh God, nothing as cool as ABBA and Cher anyway.
Are they back? They're back cool again.
Well, Conor can make them cool, I'd say. I'd listen to audiobooks and Spotify and whatever's going, a bit of the radio. I've no punchy line to tell you that I listen to a punchy song, but no, it's we do a lot of driving, but it's never too bad.
You may not have control of the radio if you're in the back seat or someone else is driving. It's
That's
their
true.
musical choice.
I love being asleep in the back seat with the legs up across, and that's a nice way to go to the races.
And I'm sure you get asked all the time, have you a winner first? What do you say to that?
I have many different responses, but I have to give you a PG response,
okay.
I presume. Have I a winner? Not right now, but come back to me before Galway and we'll get you something for Galway.
Very good. Well, look, Rachel, it's been a pleasure not only meeting you and your family, but also your neighbours in and around your house. We're going to give the final word to you. Have you any words of inspiration for us or for other people watching tonight, maybe starting out on their life's journey, either in their careers or as young pony riders? What's your message of advice to them?
You've caught me on the hop here now. You should have told me to prepare something. No, look, I suppose I'm after achieving something this year that I never thought was possible to achieve, that I never even dreamt I could achieve this. So I suppose if you even have an inkling you might want to do something or go down a certain avenue, allow yourself to have that dream and to go down it, because, you genuinely never know what's going to happen. I'm extremely lucky. I'm extremely lucky to be in this position I'm in, and, I think surrounding yourself with the right people is a big help as well. So, just, believe in that dream, and just a massive thanks to everyone in the Tipperary County Council for, as we said, bestowing this upon me. Like, it's such an incredible honour, and just a massive thanks to everyone.
Lovely meeting you.
You too.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rachel Blackmore. Okay, folks. Thanks to you for joining us this evening as well. For now, slán go fóill.